We got our motor moved back to the other side. We'll check it out in a minute. We got the Camaro still up in the air. Let's drop it down. Now we need to actually move up to the front, and we have the Firewall primed with epoxy primer. We're going to scuff it down. We need to smooth off a little bit more up top and make sure the door jambs look good, and then we need to spray that with black base and then clear coat it. Let's get this dropped down and get busy making that look sweet. All right, we got this dropped down. We do have our cowl piece kind of set down there and loosely in place. I just wanted to see exactly where we need to make sure we're smooth for paint. So obviously the whole firewall is going to be painted all the way up. The car is probably going to go black anyway, but even if it didn't, we need to make sure we have enough coverage. So with this here, obviously the fender goes on here and comes straight down. It has a piece that comes out here. So most of that's covered, but where this rib is, and then a bit of this on both sides needs to be nice and smooth. Not here because that's where the fender goes, but about where this rib is. So we definitely need to smooth that off and make it look as good as we can. And the same with like these spots here. So we'll get them smoothed up. And same with the door jamb. We got them primed. We had them cleaned down and primed. Now we need to smooth them up and just hit them with the black base and then clear coat. They're probably going to get repainted when the car gets painted, but at least they'll be done. They're not old and nasty. This thing was, I don't know what someone did before. It looks like they may have undercoated the door jamb, so we really had to scrape and sand. But now we have primer. We can go ahead and sand them. We did get a little overspray on the bev floor coating. Like I said, I wasn't worried about that because all of this is getting done. But I'll show you that this stuff does sand. So when we sand that area of the door jamb, it'll smooth right out and we'll be looking good. We'll get that all scuffed down, smoothed up, taped up, and ready to spray. Real quick while we're here, these cars do have hidden VINs. As you can see, there's one there. This is kind of odd. It's got one right here, kind of right beside it. So there's two of the hidden VINs. If you look down here, they actually double stamped it here too. So they have one here, one here. We did grind this lip off. Normally there's a lip there. We have a plug. We're putting vintage air in this car also. And there's a plug that goes here, and that's where all of your lines run through. So they want that lip gone. So it sits nice and flat. But here's a hidden VIN. There's another hidden VIN up here. There was a couple more on the car, but obviously these are still intact because we didn't replace this sheet metal just from here down. We're actually going to go ahead while we're cleaning all this up. These vents here, they're fresh air intakes, part of the Astro ventilation. They bolt in under the dash here. This one's going to be a little bit hard to see. It's actually right in there, so we'll go in through the glove box. There's a couple of screws. All that gets pulled out because the vintage air takes place of all that. While we're in here, excuse me, still have that cold. We pulled the glove box door off. We're going to go ahead and pull the glove box insert out. Again, with the vintage air, you have to change that out. They make a kind of a stubby one because the air conditioner unit goes up in there, up inside the dash, and it's bigger than the stock box. So it crowds some of this room. They give you another insert to put in. But for right now, we just need to get all this out of the way. We'll finish taking that piece out. We already got that side taken out. Keep moving along. Now we're getting somewhere with that glove box out of the way. We can reach up there and grab this last bolt. And then this whole piece here, it's got a foam seal that seals it. We'll pull that off. There it goes. The whole piece comes out. I'll show you how it works. So it, again, this goes through to the cowl so you get fresh air. And right here in your kick panel, there's two vents. One is for the flap down here. The other is for this vent. If you don't have air conditioning, you can still run fresh air through. And as you can see, there's a flapper in there, on off. These foams get dry and don't seal very well over the years. But your cable just twists that and that opens and shuts the vent. But you can still see light through there. You can see that one would, if we were going to use it, would need new seals because it's not sealing off very well anymore. We got all that stripped out of the way. Now we have the holes here, obviously. Vintage Air does give you caps. You use the factory hardware and you put, they say silicone, but I'm going to use the seam seal that we used on the floor. A bead of that around here, and that seals up and seals all the weather out. So might as well go ahead and get them installed, both sides, and then we won't have any overspray coming through as we spray that firewall. All right, guys, we got that side assembled and that side assembled. You can see they fit pretty nice on the inside. And if you look in through there, they have a nice squeeze with that seam seal squeezed out nice, and it's definitely sealed up nice and tight. So we're good with that. This is, by the way, the plug. They have a T stamped in it. So this is the plug that goes here, and that's where all of your lines and your electrical run through. But we're not quite ready for that. Your lines run through, go into this piece here, and then out that hole there, and there's another plug that goes in. Once they come through here, then they come up and get distributed to the box itself. Got it all scuffed down here. Now we need to blow it off, wipe it off, clean everything up, and get some stuff taped up. We got it all wiped down, masked off with some masking paper. We're not going to go crazy. Again, we're not worried about overspray like down the rocker panel because all that needs touched up. It's all, the car's in primer anyway. So we have it. Nice tape line from underneath, so to separate the gray from the firewall black. We got a nice tape line with some masking paper there, and we're about ready to start spraying. We're getting our paint all mixed up here. We're using the Matrix Factory Pack Black Base Coat. We got our mixing cup here. We got it mixed together. We just got to stir it up, and then we'll get after spraying it. Pretty much got everything prepped. I'll look at it one more time, make sure nothing's settled on it, but we're ready to spray. I'm actually going to be using my mini gun here, my jam gun. It'll take a little bit longer, but we're not really in any huge hurry here. And it'll keep overspray down to a minimum. This has a pretty small tip, so we should be able to save material a little bit. And I also want to try and get down inside this cowl the best I can. I sanded and cleaned that as best I can in the time allotted here. We'll see how it looks and make a decision after we get it sprayed here. We're going to leave it like that or try and do something different with it, but I think we'll be all right, and this will make it a little bit easier to get down inside there. And of course, guys, I am using the respirator here. Safety first. Underway here, it's looking good so far. It's already starting to flash off. I got that door jamb, the cowl down inside the best I could. I'm not sure if I'm going to be happy with that when it's all said and done, but it definitely looks better than it did. We need to refill our cup and keep on spraying. We got that all sprayed. We'll let it flash off good, and then we'll start hitting it with clear coat. It's looking pretty good. We didn't spend hours on smoothing every little lump and bump out. Most of this is going to get covered up with the fender, the doors, and then that cowl piece. So, and then of course the firewall's got to look good, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on it too. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. All right, guys, we're nice and tacked up, as you can see, and we're ready to spray our clear coat. We have it all mixed up. It's in the gun. Let's start shooting. We're all cured up. Looks good. Try to touch. We did get this piece put on, installed. We'll have to take it back off. We were just mocking stuff up for the vintage air. Your lines go through and the electrical goes through the center. That's the end cap. We also got a brand new firewall pad for the firewall. This goes on before anything else. There's these little push clips that it also comes with, plastic push clips that go through and attach it to the firewall. So we'll go ahead and get that put in, and then we can start assembling stuff onto the firewall. Another thing we're going to do, we'll go ahead and pull this Camaro emblem off, get rid of the ashtray, and scuff this down. It's blue. The dash is blue, obviously. It's going to go back with a black interior. So we'll scuff this down, and the top of the dash is that. The dash also has primer on it. It's got epoxy primer when we shot the firewall. In the primer, we also hit it with this. So we'll scuff it down, shoot the whole top of the dash, and then the whole front face of the dash. We'll shoot the glove box door and the ashtray separate and get all that ready to go back together. Once we get this firewall pad in, then we can start working on the vintage air kit up under the dash, get all our wiring sorted out. I did already run the wiring, started running it back to the tail lights and the dome light and stuff like that. We ran it back through. So let's keep going here and see what we can get accomplished. So I ran into my first kind of big fail here as far as the quality of, I don't know, you say quality, it's just a mistake in this firewall. The fuse box obviously mounts right here, and they have these pre-drilled holes, one right there, one right there. Well, I'm trying to get that to line up with the fuse box, and no matter how I spin it, it will not line up. So I go out and look at the old firewall, and they actually have these drilled wrong. So this one's on this side, it should be on this side. That one should be over here. So what I did, I went out and made a template off the old firewall, transferred it onto this firewall. So we're gonna go ahead and drill our holes, get that fuse box mounted up. That'll hold our insulation pad, firewall pad in place a little better on this side. We also have to drill a hole here, which I put in my template too. We'll have to get a hole saw and drill that. That's for your clutch rod to come through. Normally it would be for your clutch rod. We're actually putting a hydraulic clutch on, but that still needs to be there. So they did not drill that hole, which is fine. But what really irritates me is this. We got these holes drilled, got our fuse box mounted from the inside. As you can see, we do have our wiring harness. We actually got new wiring harnesses for under the hood, so our forward light harness and our engine harness. We also got our hole drilled in the firewall. We got our clutch master cylinder. Slip it in here and check fitment. It's looking good. We'll go ahead and get that bolted up. We still got to put the pedal assembly inside to finish mocking everything up, but I think so far that looks good. So now I know we've been jumping around a little bit, but let's jump in the back and get the rear suspension back under this car, and then we can start making a roller again. Starting to line everything up. We did get our panhard bar put into the bracket there. Now we'll slip this jack under. The car will have to come down a little bit more, but we can start jacking this up to make it a little bit more the right height, or so I can get underneath and hook these coilovers. Once I get the coilovers hooked up in the bracket with that torque arm in the front, we can actually lift it up and work on it on the lift and finish hooking the rest of this stuff up. Guys, we got our radiator support painted. We didn't paint it right here. This is just where we're letting it set up. It's looking really good. That's all base cleared. Looks good.